the kind that men are allowed without question.
It's even more subtle because of the traditional housewife ideal, especially in the US. It's actually tied to a lot of conservative and elitist stuff, even some nativist ideas.
I know it really got pushed during the 50s around the Cold War to get women out of jobs and into home, selling this perfect little image of white middle-class life.
Exactly. And what's wild is how it keeps re-emerging now through online trends like trad wives.
Or the obsession with hyper-feminine homemaking aesthetics on social media.
It's packaged as empowerment for women, but it subtly pushes the same values that kept women restricted in the past.
It's not just about cooking or wearing vintage dresses. It's really about which version of femininity gets put on a pedestal. And most of the time, it's this white, obedient kind that fits perfectly with old-school patriarchal nationalistic vibes.
And that's where it gets dangerous. These trends might look harmless, but they can actually lead people toward more extreme beliefs.
I agree. A lot of the language used in these trends echoes with the kind of stuff used by fascist movements. Like women being the moral backbone of the nation, raising pure kids, supporting the men who lead or fight. Honestly, those ideas were really outdated when I was young.
Some influencers call it choice feminism, but it kind of ignores how much pressure pushes women to fit into that mold. Like, why can men be ambitious and have a family, be messy and still be admired, but women have to pick a lane?
I believe it's not just a gender issue, but a class and race issue too. The traditional wife image has never been accessible to all women. It erases working class women, women of color, queer women, or immigrant women.
While we are on the subject, one movement the students should definitely know of is the flappers.
Oh, right, it sure is linked to this idea of traditional roles, precisely about subverting them.
I was just thinking about the Roaring '20s when the women of that movement, boosted in their confidence after the First World War, they started smoking, driving, working just because they wanted to. And you could spot them right away with their short skirts above the knee, totally bold for the time.
How funny though, all this seems common today, but it was still deemed scandalous and improper for the time.
Though this movement was great, we must not forget that being a flapper tended to come with privilege, and somehow it further highlighted the inequalities present even among women.
You needed money to be part of the movement, so we should definitely point out to our students that not all women had access to that kind of freedom.
Good point. We could also tell our students that it's equally important to focus on how working class women were depicted during this period.
Yes, indeed, flappers got all the attention, but factory women lived a very different story.
They were often depicted in a more negative light as fallen women because they had to work for a living, which didn't fit the idealized version of women as stay-at-home mothers or wives.
Right, and if you chose to work, it was seen as abandoning your quote-unquote real duty, the home. Like wanting a career made you selfish or cold.
Especially when you know how hard it is being a housewife. It equates with continuous labor, which is unpaid and often invisible.
Exactly. When women are either good because they sacrifice everything or bad because they want autonomy, those extremes are a form of control. There's no male equivalent. No man is ever told he has to choose.
Which leaves most women feeling like they're failing, no matter what. I feel nauseous just imagining the constant pressure.
Honestly, it's no surprise women like Nellie Bly had to pretend to be insane just to get taken seriously. No one believed sane women back then.
Or they locked them up anyway. Like, if you were depressed, angry, or just ambitious, that was enough to get labeled unstable.
Right, and then there were lobotomies. I mean, look at Rosemary Kennedy. She wasn't mentally ill, she was just strong-willed. And for that, they basically erased her.
And that wasn't centuries ago. That was the 40s. Her own family did it to her.
That's why rejecting the binary view isn't just about freedom, it's about survival.
And thus, these young boys whom we were talking about earlier need to realize how shallow and belittling the incentives they get from their influences are.
We should then emphasize how critical thinking should always be at the root of any judgment our students make.